Well, hello everyone out there in the football world. I am your host Sanders of the Head Couch Analysts show, and as usual, I'm joined by my co-host Pardue. It's another 2-0 week for us, dude. 3 weeks in a row. I know it's 4 weeks for you. You can brag about it all you want. But it's 3 weeks in a row that the Head Couch Analysts are 2-0. We're feeling good. Our boys keep breaking barriers that people said Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson couldn't do. So we're very happy about that. Let's jump right into our birdwatching segment for a second. How are you feeling about your Cardinals right now? Massive win over the Rams. How do I say this? A 4-seed Super Bowl contender just absolutely crushed in LA.
Well, in the words of the great Bill Belichick, we're on to Cincinnati. So that's how I'm feeling. So it's not that I'm not really excited that we finally got over got the monkey off our back that was the Rams. We hadn't beat them in 4 years. It was 8 straight losses to them. I'm really excited about that victory. Nobody was giving us a chance. A lot of people have the Cardinals of all teams number one in the power rankings. And if you would have asked me, or if you would have told me that the Cardinals were going to be the last remaining undefeated team to start the year, I would have laughed you off. It's very surreal. This team is very, very good. This is the best team I've seen the Cardinals have, and since 2015, and they might even be better than that team. So as long as the consistency stays there, we don't get hit by the injury bug. This could be a really special year. So I'm starting to get excited, but keeping myself grounded.
So for those who don't know, I would argue this is the best team since 2014, since I think the best edition of the Carlos and Palmer Cardinals was not the year they went to the NFC Championship. It was the year Palmer went down when they were 9-1. Would that be an accurate statement?
Honestly, I'm not. I think the talent overall on the team in 2015 was better. Maybe just the overall chemistry of the team in 2014 was better, and the way their schedule was following that year, it was certainly easier. But either way, those are two really good teams. Those are two really awesome years to be a Cardinal fan.
Well, let me tell you something. I don't really got any complaints to make about the Cardinals because I was totally waiting for the Kyler Murray interception to happen, right? And it never happened, right? And that was my one complaint about the Cardinals all season so far was I really need Kyler Murray just to not do that one stupid interception. And it never happened. And frankly, he is converting some things that I think most quarterbacks wouldn't convert when it comes to some deep shots or even that 3rd and 16, right? The announcers had it right. They were like, other than possibly Lamar Jackson, no one's making that. And even then, Lamar Jackson might not make that because one thing I will say about Kyler Murray is that I think getting to the edge, he's quicker than Kyler Murray. It's just like in an open field, I feel Lamar's a little more like evasive, right? Because when Kyler sees pressure, he just gets down, right? And sometimes Lamar has the evasiveness, right? So it's possible he could have got that 3rd and 16, but for the most part, I don't think any other quarterback would have gotten that 3rd and 16, and that's a total momentum changer in that moment. Because if you don't get that, right, you probably don't score like you do there, and who knows what could have happened after. So it's amazing what's happening. I don't have any personal complaints about the Cardinals right now. I mean, if you wanted to be a negative Nanny, you could talk about how their run defense kind of sucks right now, but it wasn't a factor on Sunday.
So, yeah, my one thing is the run defense, and I'm not sure how you're going to fix that because I believe even in Vance Joseph's history, I believe he's only had a above top 20 run defense, I believe, once in his career. So run defense has never quite been his thing. I'm not hitting the panic button on it yet, but our interior defensive line outside J.J. Watt has been really rough so far to start this season. So maybe when we get Jordan Phillips back, that'll help out. But it definitely needs to improve. The one thing that excited me the most about this victory, over the last couple of weeks, I was saying the play calling situationally when it came to the run game was really, really questionable at times. And I feel like we weren't utilizing James Conner and Chase Edmonds in the right situations. This was the first game this year where I felt like they did that. And they did it in a way where they ran for over 200-plus yards on the Rams defense and Aaron Donald. So that's what I needed to see. And it ended up being their best offensive game of the year. Like, outside their 2 punting drives, on the very first drive, they had to punt. And it was because they dropped a pass on 3rd down. And then they punted one other time for the rest of the game, and every single other drive ended with points against, what a lot of people think is the best defense in the league. So there's no complaints on my end. It was incredible. And the way they took away Cooper Kupp, once they took away Cooper Kupp for the Rams, their offense was completely shut down. So maybe that's the formula for other teams going forward for the Rams, because, I mean, what they put on the field on Sunday was pretty anemic.
I would agree. So before we get on to my team, we have a third guy on our show this week, and I want him to be able to put in some information as well, but I'd like to introduce him first. It is, if you see him on Twitter, he is Aaron Rodgers, Doppelganger. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
We are doing pretty sweet. I didn't want to use your name because I wasn't sure if you wanted it out there in the world or not, but if you look him up on Twitter, oh my goodness, this guy actually looks like Aaron Rodgers just a little bit. The more you look at him, the more you're like, all right, I see differences. But like at first glance, it's like, oh shit, it looks like him. And it doesn't help that Aaron Rodgers has grown out his hair, so now there's more similarities there. And I'm sure you both could have a rockin' man bun, right?
Oh yes. I'm glad he's doing it. I think it's funny. I said to my friends, I'm like, he's noticed me on Twitter probably and started to look more like me.
That's a good joke to have. Before I move on to my team, is there anything you have to say about the Cardinals? I know you watch football. I know you post about it and you watch games that aren't just Green Bay. But I know you were at Lambeau Field on Sunday, so it's possible you missed most of the action on Sunday that wasn't Lambeau Field related.
Yes, I probably didn't see any games except for the Packers game and then the Sunday night disappointment where we had the chance for Bill Belichick to beat Tom Brady and they missed a field goal.
The rain, right?
Yes, in the rain. Oh, it would have been so great if Bill Belichick could have beat Tom Brady, but maybe next time.
I think the story on it would have been like what I was kind of wishing would happen was that there'd be a game-winning field goal for Tom Brady's team, because it would have been like classic. Tom Brady relies on his kicker to win in New England, right?
That's true. It would have really helped some narratives.
I mean, I know that's the narrative like Brady haters like to use, right?
I use it.
I'm sure you do. I stopped being a Brady hater the second I saw Edelman catch a miraculous ball in the 2015 Super Bowl. Like, it was just in that moment that I was like, that catch was so amazing. And then I started to realize, wow, I hate Tom Brady for winning, and I just saw an amazing football play. And if I just didn't hate Tom Brady, I bet you I'd appreciate more football. And for the last 6 years, I've just kind of watched him in awe. Like, I'm sure this brings up a painful memory from you, but like the deep shot to Scotty Miller against Green Bay in the NFC Championship at the end of the first half, like
I just had to talk to someone about that on Twitter because it gets brought up all the time.
Like, I'm not even talking about like, you know, in against Green Bay. I'm just talking like for the positives of Tom Brady. Like the man at 43 is making that deep shot perfectly placed. Like maybe six quarterbacks in the NFL make that throw perfectly like he did. And you can hate him all you want, but like as a football fan,
I do.
As a football fan, it's gorgeous to watch.
Yeah, I respect the hell out of him for what he can do. That's the reason I hate him, is because he's so to me it's the thing where he is the GOAT. Like I think it bothers me that he's not the most talented in football and is still the best at winning and the greatest.
It bothers you that you have the Michael Jordan quarterbacks, but you can't win like you can.
Yeah, that's really what it is. It's like we've got the Michael Jordan quarterbacks in the NFL, and he gets plenty of respect, but he doesn't get enough respect from people because he doesn't have the rings like Brady has. And so it's just like, oh, God. And so every time Brady wins, it like hurts a part of my soul.
I just want to let you know, by the way, before we continue on to my team, and this might be a good segue, you get to deal with Tom Brady in your conference for like 3 to 4 years max. I dealt with it for 17, so I really don't want to hear it. Yeah. So often, the breaker was just, can you beat Tom Brady? Like, can we just go into Gillette Stadium and beat Tom Brady? And my team did it twice. We were 2-2. We faced Tom Brady 4 times in the postseason, right? And we did it twice. So it wasn't like that hard for us, but it was still like, can we do it or can we not kind of deal.
Yep. We only got him for a few years.
Speaking of,
and only once a year.
That's true too. I mean, if you see him in the postseason, right?
Yeah,
and you don't see him this year on the regular season, do you? That was last year, right?
Holy cow, man! it's hard to remember all 17 games. I think we got him last year. I think they gave him to us this year again.
I don't think you face an NFC South opponent.
No, okay. You're right.
I didn't think so. Okay.
I was like, we'll see them, though. We'll see them.
Yeah, probably in the postseason, right? There's a high chance that you see them there. So,
yes.
I'm going to get to my team real quick. There's only like 3 things I wanted to say, and I'm not really going to elaborate on them. First of all, super happy about how Baltimore won against Denver. They stacked the box with 7 people almost every play and dared Lamar to throw, and he threw for 316 yards and beat them completely, like shut him out. He even had, I think it was his longest air pass throw this game too. It was, I think, 51 yards, air yards, straight into the end zone to Marquise Brown. Big diving catch that Marquise Brown made. I mostly expected him to miss it because...
That catch...
What'd you say?
I said that catch was sick.
Oh, yeah. No, it was. Like, literally when I texted you, I'm like, he just made the biggest catch of his career. Like, I wasn't joking. Like, he usually drops stuff like that. So when he made that, I was like, damn, that's hot. I like that. Yeah, like, they did what most teams like to do is, you know, put 6 or 7 in the box, and if you have the corners, right, you dare Lamar to beat you in the passing game. And they did. So now I wonder, like, what's going to be teams' like future things, because for the last 3 weeks, Lamar has posted a 4-game high in how many passing yards he has. Like, he has more passing yards than he had in a 4-game span this season than he has in any other 4-game span in his career. Strangely enough, Baltimore also in 3 of the last 4 games has called more passing plays than running plays, which if we go to his last 38 starts, there was only 6 of those 38 games that they called more passing plays, right? So they're becoming more, I don't want to say pass-oriented, that's just not true about this team, but they're not afraid to do it anymore, right? Like if you shut out the run, they're like, all right, we're just going to beat you through the air now. And they've done it for a few games now. Like that Lions one, they really stuffed the running game. They really did, and that's why it was so low scoring. And it wasn't until in the 4th quarter when they finally started throwing that they were getting some points going again. And now that I think about it, that Lions win was scary, but at the end of the day, I think it was just a team like in the middle of adaptation, going from a run plan to a passing plan. And one other thing that I've liked that he's done is for the amount of people who don't like Lamar's deep ball, he is now 3rd in completions above 20 yards and 20 air yards specifically. He has 19 of them, and I don't remember who. He was behind Tom Brady, and I forget who the second person is that's completed them. But either way, I'm super happy.
Probably Russ.
What?
Probably Russ.
Russell Wilson?
Russ has been hit. He's been hitting Tyler Lockett all season on deep balls.
That's true, but it wasn't Russell Wilson, I know.
Okay.
I forget who it was. It was Tom Brady. Oh, Derek Carr. Derek Carr.
Okay.
And that makes a lot of sense because Derek Carr's been airing it out.
That's true.
So, he was 3rd behind Tom Brady and Derek Carr. So I'm happy that, like, my team is busting a lot of narratives this year. The Kansas City narrative, right? The can't win through the air attack narrative, can't come from behind narrative. Like, there's just so many things that I'm excited for. Even though, funnily enough, I'm not sure how much I believe in my own team, because even though we're 3-1 and busting these narratives, it's shaky sometimes. It's really shaky how it happens, but I will take dubs after dubs if it keeps working, right?
I know it seems easy. This is the thing. It seems easy for teams that have success as often as they do, or as often as teams like the Chiefs are right now and the Packers have been. But let me tell you, it's shaky for everybody. That's just the NFL. Look at 2019 for us. We went 13-3 on paper. We had an incredible season, and our point differential was like 20.
Oh, that's right. You did have a really small point differential. You had a lot of close games, if I remember.
Yeah, we played the Lions twice, obviously, because they're in our division that year. And we never led the game, and we beat them both times. We led for 0 seconds combined.
That's so Detroit Lions to lead against the Packers for 120 minutes and both being L's.
And not win.
It's such a Lions thing. Oh, my God.
And I think that's something that annoys me about the NFL fan bases is, like, they're like, oh, well, you should have lost this game, or you should have done this. Well, or the Cardinals, for example. Oh, well,
you should have lost to Minnesota, bro.
Yeah. Well, the only reason you won is because they missed a 37-yard field goal. Well, when did kicking field goals not become a part of the game? Like, they're never a guarantee. I don't care if it's a 19-yard field goal. I don't care if it's a PAT. NFL caliber kickers miss PATs all the time. It happens. So, like, I hate it when NFL fans, and this applies to Lamar and Kyler or any other player that is constantly doubted due to their ability or their passing ability. Like, specifically like Lamar and Kyler, players like analysts and national media and fans like they like to move the sticks or move the narrative to fit like, oh, well, they're not actually this good. Or, oh, well, Kyler's not that good. Well, he's actually won a Pro Bowl. He's won Rookie of the Year. Lamar's won an MVP. And now even I was a Lamar defender from the second he came out. When Lamar got drafted by the Raiders, Sanders wasn't about it. And I told him, no, that's the guy I wanted in that draft. I wanted Lamar over Josh Rosen. And when he told him, I was like, no, you got a good one. He didn't want to believe me yet. And, I mean, he had his reasons. But look at him now. Exactly. And now even me, even to this point in the year, like I was having still a hard time trying to buy into the fact that Lamar could continue to develop as a passer. I thought he is who he is, but now he's showing he's on pace to throw for over 4,000 yards. He's leading his team through the air, and I think a big part of that is because you've lost all your running backs due to injuries, so you do need to adjust your scheme, and Lamar is showing that he can do that, which I think has been the most impressive thing for the Ravens so far and will continue to help them going forward. And I think it's a big reason as well how you beat the Chiefs, because Lamar is now beginning to adapt his game and change to bring that Ravens football team to the next level.
And to be able to score with teams like the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, right. Yeah. The best part is they'll still kill you with a run game. Like, that's going to be their number one plan, right? But they have the backup plan B now. It's like, all right, if they stop this...
And that sucks for the rest of the AFC. If Lamar starts becoming a 300-yard game quarterback, the rest of the AFC is fucked.
I hope so, dude. Trust me, I hope so. But for now, I still think the Bills are the best team in the AFC.
The Bills are so good. God, the Bills are good.
They're killing everybody. And nobody's talking about it. It's crazy, right?
Josh Allen is so good.
Don't get me wrong, I want to give the Bills their due because their point differential is like 90, but also look at their schedule. I'm not saying the Bills aren't a good team. I think the Bills are probably, from top to bottom, the best team in the AFC right now. But let's also look at their opponents and kind of take it for what we will.
Yeah, that's true. But that's to say that what we were talking about earlier, and what I was going to say is the whole NFL fan base needs to understand is every team has those games that they play where it's we should win this game. Besides minus 2 games.
You mean the Titans and the Jets this last Sunday?
Yep. And there's a couple teams every year that don't get to play a game where they're supposed to win that football game, like the Jets and the Jaguars right now. But look at all these team schedules, and the ones that are consistently in the playoffs, like the Patriots and the Packers and the Steelers, they find a way to beat the teams they're supposed to beat. Whereas teams like the Vikings and all these other, they always have those losses like the Bills that one year when the Josh Allen leaping over the Vikings. They were a miserable football team that year. Mm-hmm. The good teams find ways to win games when they're not playing their best.
The thing I want to say about the Bills specifically, and it's funny because this is actually one of the headlines I wanted to talk about, was the Bills, because nobody's talking about them. I really don't care what their schedule is, because it's how they're beating their opponents that matters to me. Like, for example, the Dolphins literally took the Raiders to overtime with a backup quarterback, right? Yeah, the Bills didn't care. They beat the shit out of them 35-0. The Texans gave the Panthers a hard time. The score was 21-9 at the end, but the Texans gave them a hard time. Bills didn't care as they crushed them 40-0 this last week.
See, that's the thing about the Bills is they've always had that defense that you cannot score on them, and now they've got an offense where they're like, we can also put up 30 on you. Good luck.
And that's what I think is impressive about the Bills. It's not necessarily their schedule; it's the fact that they're firing on all cylinders. Now they have to continue this for another 16 games if they want to go to the Super Bowl. But as of right, and they might hit a slump. But right now, I don't really care who they're facing. It's how they're doing it. If they were beating the Dolphins 35-20, or the Texans 40 to, let's just say 21, right? Then I'd be like, yeah, they're playing easier opponents, right? And they're beating them, cool. No, they're straight murdering people. It's
they're so talented.
It's just ridiculous how good they are. And what's funny is last year their defense took a step back, and it was really Josh Allen's growth that put them in the AFC Championship. And then this year the defense is firing on all cylinders again. It's just weird how well they're doing. This defense has allowed how many points? Let's see if I can add this up. 43 points total in 4 games.
See, that's nuts in today's NFL.
It's really good.
That's so insane in this NFL now. That's like a scoring league.
And you know what? People will really get to judge the Bills over the next 2 weeks because they have 2 primetime games in a row the next 2 weeks. So yeah. So before we like get too much into like the rest of the NFL and whatnot, let's talk about you for a little bit, Mr. Doppelganger. First of all, I gotta ask, how often do you get the Aaron Rodgers comparison? I'm sure it happens a ton. Because when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, dang! It does look pretty similar."
At first, when I first saw it, I couldn't tell if it was actually a picture of him or he actually just took a picture of Aaron Rodgers and it was just a meme. And then I looked at your profile a little bit more. I was like, "Holy shit! This guy really looks like him. That's insane."
It's so funny. I get it all the time. I really do. I get it. At least once a week, it feels like. I'll just be at like a gas station or something, and someone will be like, "You kind of look like Aaron Rodgers." And I'm just like, yes, I do.
Have you met Aaron by chance?
I have not. I've never met Aaron Rodgers. If he definitely is, he can definitely come meet me whenever he wants. I'm pretty chill. It's super funny, but so you had mentioned it before, I was at Lambeau on Sunday. We had a big Packer Twitter meetup and all went to the game, and it was a fantastic time. But I literally had to take pictures with the people that were there with me were laughing at how many people were like, "You look like Aaron Rodgers. Will you get a picture with me?" And it happens every time I go to Green Bay. I got to take pictures with multiple amounts of people because they say I look like Aaron Rodgers. It's so funny.
I honestly think that's hilarious. It's like a hometown celebrity. I can't imagine if you lived in Green Bay how that would be.
Oh man, I think it'd be too much. It'd probably be too much.
Probably like being honest. I loved how you guys did the. I don't know if you guys did it on purpose, but it looked like you were copying Aaron Rodgers from the offseason in the bed of the truck with a case of beer, driving to the stadium.
Yeah, anyone that's listening wants to go check that out. That's actually a hilarious video. We were hanging out, meeting up to carpool to tailgating, and there was not enough seats for people. Some people were going to have to walk, and I was like, screw it, I'll hop in the bed of this truck. And then I looked at it, and I was like, wait, this is a red pickup truck, and there's a case of Bud Light in the back. Someone videotaped this.
Yeah, because it looks exactly like what it was Rodgers and Jordy Nelson, right? Was that who he was with?
It was David Bakhtiari's truck.
Oh, okay.
Rodgers was by himself in the bed of the pickup truck.
Yeah, okay, that's what it was. No,
I want to clear this up because I got comments on the video about how I was holding the case of beer with 2 hands and Rodgers held it with 1 hand. And I want to say that it was raining all day while we were tailgating. And the boxes were wet, and so if I was going to hold it with 1 hand, it was just going to fall apart. So I couldn't do it. It's not that I'm weak. I am weak, and I'm less strong than Aaron Rodgers, but I'm not that weak, guys. I can hold a case of beer with 1 hand.
A case of beer, right? At least I would hope most people could, right?
Yes.
All right, so second thing, I hear you have an interesting story about how you became a Green Bay fan, because he's not from Green Bay. He's telling me he's from the Chicago
I'm not even
area.
from Wisconsin.
All right, let's hear it.
I was born in Minnesota, and then when I was in 2nd grade, we moved to Illinois, and when I was in 8th grade, we moved back to Minnesota. So I've only ever, lived in enemy territory, which is hilarious, but in 2nd grade, when we moved to Illinois, that's kind of the age you start picking sports teams and whatnot. You start realizing how much fun it is watching sports. And I have a twin brother, and he was a Bears fan, and we've been bitter rivals since the moment we were born. So I just said, F it, I'm gonna be a Packer fan, and I just happened to be because it was just who's the Bears' biggest rival. And then we start watching, and, I'm watching Brett Favre and Donald Driver and Antonio Freeman, the Monday night catch. It's just, how do you not fall in love with that? And then they became my favorite sports team of all time. And then luck will have it that they draft a guy that ends up being one of the most talented human beings to ever touch a football that looks like me. So that didn't suck.
Oh, it's so I gotta ask then. If he's your twin brother, are you guys maternal twins or what's the other? Word?
We are not. We are not identical.
Okay.
We look identical.
Okay.
So he also looks like Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, that's awesome.
But we technically aren't identical twins.
Okay.
Wait, that's weird. You both look like Aaron Rodgers, but you're not. Wait, why aren't you identical? Wait, what defines
so
that?
all it is identical twins were one egg that split before birth, and fraternal twins are just two different eggs.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And we were two different eggs. We just happen to look exactly alike, almost.
Gotcha. A little biology lesson for us here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
I've had to explain it so many times because people are so confused when I say we're not identical twins.
Gotcha. All right.
So cool. I've got it rehearsed.
You know what? That totally works. I should have known that because my aunts are twins, and that's on my Wisconsin side of the family. So they're twins that are major Green Bay fans, and they have a number. I think their numbers are like when they got jerseys. One of them got 10, and then the other got 01, right? So that way they were.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, they were mirrored versions of each other because they're twins, and they're both.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, funnily enough, you know what? Can I say that? You know, I can't say that because it's a popular full name. Their names are Jennifer and Jessica, right? And she just got married, and the guy she married, his last name is Simpson.
Nice.
So she's literally Jessica Simpson. We joke about it all the time. So
that's super funny.
It is super funny. Anyways, let's go back to the football for a second. Thanks for telling us that, though. It's kind of funny how we all have our stories where, like, you know, if you're not from the area, it's like, well, how did you become a fan, right? And sometimes it's the typical, I was a kid, I watched Tom Brady, I liked it, therefore I'm a Patriots fan, right? But for me, my story is really dumb. I'm just like, I really liked the color purple, so therefore I picked Baltimore.
And mine is kind of dumb too. Mine's just I really don't like my twin brother, and he's a Bears fan, so I'm a Packers fan.
I guess it all works out, right?
Right.
Do you guys ever text each other about it, or no?
No, he's not as much of a like pro football fan as I am. He's more college football, and then he's into like hockey and not as big an NFL guy. He's a Notre Dame fan though, so that's like really like I will not talk college football with him. So
all right.
I don't need to talk to Notre Dame fans about college football.
Yeah, because they're always so big till they play the big boys, and then they're nothing.
Yep, it's pretty easy to be a highly ranked team and not ever have to play a conference championship.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. Alrighty, so let's get on to, you know what? I had a couple, like, highlights I wanted to talk about, but I think some of the highlights I want to talk about are probably fit better into the schedule. So I'm going to bring up the schedule here, and we're just going to start going with our pick'ems for this week. Just so you know, Sean, feel free to pop in whenever you want. Usually I make my take first, or sometimes I'll tell someone else to do their take first, and then after that, you know, when the person is like, and so I pick this, feel free to jump in whenever you want.
All right, sounds good.
Don't feel scared about it. So this Thursday night, we got a game that I feel like should be a banger for Thursday night. It's the Los Angeles Rams versus Seattle Seahawks. These two teams always give us some, I feel, pretty decent, fun games to watch. One team's coming off a win from San Francisco, and it's a short week for them, so they're coming home. The other one has to travel to Seattle, which is Los Angeles is traveling to Seattle. And they just coming off a loss to the Cardinals, so of course they're going to want to win big here. I think the big thing is I was kind of surprised that the Seahawks won last week because their roster's okay, but Russell Wilson is very good. Very, very good. I even put up one of his touchdowns earlier today, and I was just like, wow, that touchdown pass should have never happened. But it's Russell Wilson, right? And Russell Wilson will always keep your team in the game. So more often than not, I have felt recently, at least for the last year and a half, when Seattle's winning, it's because you can't stop Russell Wilson. I don't think this Rams team is prepared to stop Russell Wilson, but I also don't think the Seahawks team is talented enough to, like, stop the Rams either. And I know there's a good theory that if you stop Cooper Kupp right now, because that's what Arizona did, you stop the Rams offense, because Cooper Kupp was the one on fire for the first 3 weeks. But I trust Sean McVay to adapt. I trust them to, not lose a second game in a row. And Pete Carroll will be prepared for this, but I honestly think that, the Rams are just still the better team. They're still a good team, right? I wouldn't call the loss on Sunday something to be totally worried about for the Rams, unless they lose this Thursday. But I'm not picking them to lose. I'm picking the Rams to win this one pretty mightily, actually, by like a score of like 30-20.
Okay, yeah. I like it. But my thing with the Rams is they've got Matthew Stafford now, and Matthew Stafford is an upgrade from Jared Goff. And what the Rams have always been is good at defensively, and the Rams have been like pretty much in the playoffs or close in the playoffs with Jared Goff, and now they have Matthew Stafford and talent around him, and it's fun to watch Matthew Stafford with talent around him. It's also fun to watch Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett play football together, and DK Metcalf. I think it's such a fun game because it's set up to be high scoring. Except for if Aaron Donald plays to his max capacity against a pretty mediocre offensive line. So I think that's my main reason. I don't think Russell Wilson can outplay the Rams defense as well as Matthew Stafford can outplay the Seattle defense. And so I'm also picking the Rams to win probably about a 10-point victory.
Yeah, so for me, when I'm looking at this one, the way you beat the Rams is, like, as far as I can tell, is you take away Cooper Kupp, and that makes their offense, like I said earlier, pretty anemic. From what I've seen from Matthew Stafford, and like you just said, Sean, Matthew Stafford's a really good quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but what I've seen from him through the first 4 weeks of the season is his guy is just Cooper Kupp. Like, they're not utilizing Robert Woods. Their run game is, while it was good against the Cardinals, like the Cardinals defense is one of the worst in the league right now. They got to get that figured out. But I'm not going to bank on, the Rams having an excellent run game every single week. And even when it is going good, Sean McVay has been abandoning it early on in games. So I'm kind of questioning what's going on with the offense there. Maybe they're still trying to figure out what works with the new quarterback and incorporating all their weapons and everything. But until I see them start using their weapons more consistently, I'm going to kind of put a question mark on what the Rams are doing offensively. Now, I want the Seahawks to win this game really bad, because then as long as the Cardinals take care of business on Sunday, that means they go up 2 games in the division, and that would be amazing. But with that being the case, I don't think this defense plays as poorly as it did on Sunday in back-to-back games. And with how atrocious the Seattle defense is, I don't expect the Rams offense to play as poorly again in back-to-back weeks. So, yeah, I'm probably going to go with the Rams here, getting a victory on the road on Thursday night. But with that being said, Russell Wilson is undefeated in Thursday night games at home. So you never know. Let Russ cook.
And he's really good, and he's got really good wide receivers.
Correct. But I am going to go Rams.
So before we go on to the next one, because I forget to do this every week, we always keep a total for those who are brand new to us, and I imagine there's going to be a few new watchers if Sean so kindly broadcasts this out to his peeps as well. But
I'm letting them know.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. I went 9-7 in my picks last week, and Pardue, all 3 we disagreed with, you got right. You went 12-4. You were off to a hot start this season, dude.
Ooh.
Hot start. Which, funnily enough, so he has a 7-game lead on me, and last year I had an 11-game lead on him that I choked away, and he won the pick'ems last year.
Oh, my.
I had an 11-game lead, and I choked it away. So I'm kind of hoping now that he has a 7-game lead, he chokes it away.
He chokes it away? Yeah. A lot of pressure to be in the lead.
Yeah,
early leads are a lot of pressure.
I ended last week, I picked the Dolphins, and he picked the Colts. I picked the 49ers, he picked the Seahawks, and I picked against my own team. I picked the Broncos to beat the Ravens, and he picked the Ravens. So it is what it is, man.
That's karma for picking against your own team.
Hey, when I do this show, I try to be non-biased. Like, he picked the Rams.
That's fair.
Against his team, right? So we try to be non-biased on this show, because if we weren't, right, like, who wants to watch a biased show? I mean, I guess some people do.
That's true.
But
that's true.
That's how we feel. We're trying to embrace everybody while still, like, saying, hey, Lamar and Tyler are our boys. We're going to defend them. But, like, we try to be fair. Anyway, so
they obviously can't go undefeated.
So we are all picking either. Yeah, we obviously can't go undefeated either. So we're all picking the Rams here for this one. And then starting on Sunday, let's get to this. We have our first London game, which will not get up to watch it because it is the New York Jets versus the Atlanta Falcons. Probably the worst matchup for London to have. I feel so bad for them because at least when the Jacksonville was doing it, at least like one like marquee team went over to London to play the Jags, right? Whereas like this is the Jets and the Falcons. You have Team USA and the New York Jets, right? Versus the team known to throw to Tom Brady and then throw games after that ever since. Like, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who go see this game in London because London gets really excited when the NFL comes over. But, like, at least on this side of the pond, who cares? As for the actual analysis, this sucks because, like, I said the Falcons were probably, like, the second worst team in the NFL. They're 1-3, and they're playing the Jets, who are also 1-3. I don't know, like, I don't know what to say about either team. Like, I've been watching the Falcons a bit, mostly because I want to keep an eye on Hayden Hurst, because, you know, he was our tight end for a while, and I loved Hayden Hurst. He was in the same draft as Lamar Jackson. And on the other hand, I feel like I have a slight bias against the Jets, because I just didn't like Zach Wilson coming out of college, right? And he had some really good throws against the Titans this last weekend, but I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Like, that's what he showed us in the Combine, right? Like, that exact same pass that he used against the Titans, he showed us that in the Combine, and everyone was going nuts over it. And I was like, all right, I'd like to see it in a game. And it happened in a game, but I'm also sitting here like, yeah, it's Tennessee's defense. Like, I don't know, dude. I don't want to, like, move the goalpost for Wilson, but at the same time, like, I don't know, man. He was awful for a little bit, and I don't like to be a QB hater. Just didn't like him coming in, and I think he has to do a lot to, like, warm me up to him, because there were quarterbacks like Justin Herbert who I didn't like coming in. I mean, a lot of people didn't like Herbert coming in, and Herbert quickly turned me on to him. I just immediately fell in love with Herbert like 4 games in, and we're 4 games in with Wilson. I don't know, man. Plus that Jets roster is awful. The more I talk about this, the more I feel like the Falcons should win this, but I really don't know. Party, what do you think? I got to think about this one a little bit more.
So, there's not a lot to say about either of these teams, and I can't really say I know a lot about either of them because I haven't gone out of my way to watch their garbage product. With that being said, I'm a Cordell Patterson fantasy owner, and he's been absolutely tearing defenses up the last 3 weeks. I can't believe
he's listed as a running back. That's so stupid.
He's listed as a running back and receiver. You can play him, at least in our fantasy league on Sleeper. You can play him at either position. So that's another reason why I picked him up, is because he has positional flexibility. Like, it's a killer player to have right now in fantasy. Anyway, that being said, I think as long as Cordell Patterson is going to continue to be the centerpiece of this offense, they're going to put up points. And I'm not sure even – I know the Jets went and beat the Titans this last weekend, but I don't know, man. The Titans are putting up some stinkers through the first 4 weeks, and they've been pretty unimpressive. And we don't know what the status – I haven't seen the injury report for any teams today of Julio and A.J. Brown, but I'm solely picking the Falcons here because I like what they're doing with Cordell Patterson, and because I'm not going to pick the Jets at any point in this season. So I'm going to go Falcons.
Before Sean goes over here, I do want to say that I'm going to pick the Falcons here, and here's why. I made a decision. Teams like the Jaguars and the Jets, right? And this is why I'm not going to be on necessarily a hate train for Wilson, and I'm not going to hate on Lawrence either, despite the fact I've been unimpressed with both. They went into teams that are very clearly rebuilding. And I don't expect them to be as good as, like, say, Andrew Luck coming in his first year, or Kyler Murray in his first. I don't expect that from those guys, right? I know some people expected that from Lawrence, but if we're comparing Lawrence to the guy everybody was comparing him to, Peyton Manning was awful. Awful his first year. So, I mean, if we're going with comparison, Trevor Lawrence is tracking right now. But these are both organizations under rebuilds, and so I'm not going to fault Saleh with turning around the Jets in 1 year, right? It's just that it was a terrible roster going in. They were the number 2 pick team. Like, obviously, it's not good over there right now, and they need to acquire talent, right? So I'm gonna give them a few years. Not in saying that, I'm gonna give Zach Wilson probably a few years, even if I might say something negative or positive. If he shows me positive stuff, I need to give him a few years. Same with Trevor Lawrence. And he's got some other situations with his team going on that we'll talk about when we get there to the Jaguars. But, yeah, Sean, you got anything on the Falcons?
This one's a tough one for me because I know we talk about the Jets roster. The Falcons roster is not that much better. The Falcons roster is also trash. And I say that as someone who got to watch Patterson play football twice a week against his football team, or twice a year against his football team for a few years there. If Cordero Patterson is the centerpiece of your offense isn't very good.
Hey, there's Kyle Pitts.
You're kind of successful against the teams you're supposed to be successful against, and I'll give you props for that. But that's just if that's the benchmark for your team, you're in trouble. That being said, the New York Jets just have not proven to me to be a football team that is capable of winning back-to-back football games. So I'm just never going to pick them to win back-to-back football games. So I'm picking the Falcons.
I think that's a fair way to look at it. All right, so let's head up to the NFC North. Detroit Lions versus Minnesota Vikings. I'm just going to say this right. I'm just going to say this right up, okay? I don't think the Vikings should be 1-3. I think they've had a lot of unfortunate luck. As someone who has generally defended Kirk Cousins, not with the might that I did Sam Darnold, but I've generally been a decent fan of Kirk Cousins. Not early in his career. I actually roasted the hell out of him when he was in Washington his first couple of years. Interception machine. But he's grown past that. He's a decent player. And I watched him in his first 2 weeks of this season lead his team on game-winning drives, only for Dalvin Cook to fumble the ball on a rush where it was supposed to set up a field goal. And then I watched them get to do the field goal, and their kicker just missed it. None of that is on Cousins, right? He's a guy who's played well. They met their first challenge in Cleveland's defense, which is monstrous, by the way. Their defensive line is just unreal. Myles Garrett is probably early Defensive Player of the Year candidate.
Jadeveon Clowney on the same line.
You know what's funny is I'm not a Jadeveon Clowney fan, and he hasn't racked up many numbers this season, but he was taking doubles all the time. And if you're taking doubles...
look at the speed on that defensive line. It's just the amount of speed and athleticism they have on that defensive line.
Crazy.
It is very similar to the same type of feel that we saw out of Tampa Bay's linebackers last year.
Yeah, Cleveland's defense is just crazy, right? So, they ran into that, and... when the defense is stopping Dalvin Cook and all that, and they're stopping your pass game, there's just not a lot to do. So, and that game was ugly overall. It was 14-7 game for Minnesota. On the other hand, Detroit, yes, they got unlucky because it's Detroit, but also, maybe I was giving Detroit too much credit last week. Maybe they're really just not that good at all, because they struggled against Chicago. They had the funniest snap I've ever seen in my life, where Goff went up to reset something because he saw something on the Bears defense he didn't like, and then the center snapped it anyway, and it bounced off of Goff's knee into a Bears defender. I was just like, oh my lord, the Bears just can't catch a break. It's not the Bears, the Lions just can't catch a break. And it's weird. The Lions are weird because I like the way they play sometimes, and then just stupid stuff happens to them. And I feel like it happens all the time. And because of that, I can't pick the Lions. I know they're 0-4. I know they got to win a game at some point. And I know this is the exact kind of game the Vikings would lose at home. I can't do it. I'm not convinced Detroit's actually good enough to win a football game yet, despite the fact they show positive sometimes. I just don't like it. Whereas the Vikings have at least showed me some things where I'm like, yeah, it's arguable they could not be 1-3. So I got to go with Minnesota here.
Well, this is my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I'll let you go ahead.
The Vikings are my second most watched team because I live in Minnesota. So, I watch the Vikings more than any other NFL team besides the Green Bay Packers.
Hey, that's like me with Lions... Arizona because I live in Arizona.
Yeah, it's easy. It's always on. It's easy to watch, and they've made it easy on me because most of the games this year haven't been at the same time as Packer games. So I get to see, and I saw the first couple of weeks, I saw what I knew Kirk Cousins had in him. I've always kind of been a slight Kirk Cousins defender, not I think I'm not like top 10 quarterback defender. I'm like, he's better than you think he is type of defender, but not an elite talent. But then I also saw what I know out of Kirk Cousins against the Cleveland Browns, and that is if you put pressure on Kirk Cousins, that man folds like a lawn chair. He just double clutches, doesn't know what to do, and he looked better at points at the beginning of the season. But when I saw it against the Browns, it's just like you just see the difference in his face and just like his reactions when the pocket first begins to collapse, and versus elite quarterbacks and how they handle that exact same situation. And so he just still just gets me where it's just like, you don't know what Kirk Cousins you're going to get. You don't know what Vikings team you're going to get. And then with both of these teams, it's like what we were talking about before, where good football teams find ways to beat the teams they're supposed to beat. Good football teams find ways to win those close games when they're not playing their best football. Sometimes both of these teams don't look like that type of football team where when they're not playing their best football, they don't know how to overcome it. So it's hard to pick either way, I think. But I think you're right in saying that while the Lions are usually better than their record shows as far as talent-wise or just like the ability to play together, I don't think this year is that case. I think this year is one of the worst Lions teams I've seen recently, so I think that it'd be almost impossible for me to pick them against anyone that has any sort of like 500 or better in them, which the Vikings always are. It seems like 500 or better, so I'm picking the Vikings. In a close one, though. It's one of those games where it might come down to who touches the football last, but the Lions have continuously shown the inability to win those types of football games, and the Vikings at least can sometimes win those.
Right. I think you put it really well when you're saying that these are two teams that I don't remember exactly how you worded it, but they're two teams that you can't always expect them to win the games that they're supposed to win. And to me, this should be a game that the Vikings should win. For me, Kirk Cousins, when I say Kirk Cousins slander, I'm kind of always scratching my head because when you look at his numbers, I know it's just on the stat sheet because when you, like you mentioned it as well, when you put pressure on him, he's a completely different guy. But when you're giving him time in the pocket, he's up there with anybody in the league. I believe him as an individual is having the best start to a season of any year in his career. He's been extremely efficient, and his defense just hasn't been holding up his end of the bargain. And now part of it has been luck as well, and that's just part of the game. But with that being said, I believe the Vikings are a much better team than their record indicates. I also think it comes down to coaching because I think Mike Zimmer is I'm not really sure how much that locker buys into that message anymore, and I think maybe it's time for the Vikings to begin looking down a different path. But with that being said, the Lions aren't showing enough for me to pick them on a consistent basis, and eventually they got to win one, and this is definitely a game they could. Because, like you said, you never know what Vikings team, and you never really know what Lions team you're going to get either. But I'm going to go Vikings here as well, just because, wow, this is a team that you can't really say that with. I believe this is a game that the Vikings should win.
And because we said they should win it, they're going to lose. That's usually how it happens with the Vikings, right?
They'll probably miss a field goal.
It's so true. Okay, wild stat, by the way. I don't know if you know this or not. Did you know that the Vikings have the most kicks made against them since 1999?
Jeez.
That is funny. That's so funny.
What's funny?
I mean, that makes sense because they have always had really good defenses. So, they're stopping teams from scoring touchdowns, but they're just not.
What I'm saying is 1999, the NFC Championship game against the Falcons was when their kicker missed a super close kick that should have sent them to the Super Bowl against the Broncos, right?
Perfect season. He had a perfect season going.
Yeah, exactly, right? But ever since then, the Vikings have always struggled to make kicks ever since.
Everyone's making everything against them.
Everybody's making everything against them. Isn't that just wild?
So incredible.
It's so crazy,
so
right?
incredible.
So, yeah. So, next one. Pardue, I've been taking the spotlight away. I'm gonna give you the next few. We got New Orleans Saints versus the Washington Football Team. I think it's kind of a tough one. They're both 2-2, and they're both kind of weird because the Saints' 2 wins are dominant wins against the Packers and the Patriots, and then 2 losses are ugly losses against the Panthers and the Giants. It's so weird. So, like, what do you got on them?
So, for me, like, so far through the first month of the season, the Saints are the Jekyll and Hyde team.
You took my line.
Yeah. So, kind of like with what we're getting with the Vikings, you don't know what you're going to get with the Saints right now. And Jameis he's been extremely efficient, but, like, he's not leading them to victory. So, Alvin Kamara is obviously the centerpiece of that offense. My thing with Washington right now is I really like Taylor Heineke, and they have some good pieces.
He's been playing okay.
But he has been, but to me, the defense is underperforming, and specifically Chase Young. Like, what have you guys heard anything about Chase Young this year?
I mean, he's just getting double teamed right now, and he's not getting past him. At least when I see it.
When you have so much elite talent on your defensive line, I understand that they're doubling him. But if you're going to be one of the elite pass rushers in the league, you eventually got to break through. But he doesn't even have a single sack through the first month. Through the first month of the season. So I'm questioning what's going on with Chase Young. I'm questioning what's going on with that defensive scheme at the moment because it hasn't quite been the strength of the football team I expected it to be. Now, this is another tough game to pick because you don't know what you're going to get on a week-to-week basis
from either team.
So for me, because like, and when it comes to like situations like that, I usually like bring it down to which quarterback gives the team the edge, but it's hard to pick that too because Jameis is he's kind of just been there. He hasn't been bad yet, but he hasn't necessarily been good either. He's been efficient. Both of these guys have been efficient. So then I guess from the second tier from there, I'm going to look at the team's running game, and obviously I'm going to give the edge to Alvin Kamara there. And I believe the Saints defense has the ability to be more consistent right now than Washington. So that's the reason I'm kind of like leaning towards the Saints. But this is a game that could definitely go either way for me, but I'm going to go Saints.
I kind of, you said it well, another game where you don't know who you're going to get from both teams. Because, like, the Saints in their 2 losses are the Saints that I thought we were going to watch this football season. The Saints in their 2 wins were absolutely not even close to what I thought we were going to get out of Jameis Winston and that football team. And it was like the Packers game was incredible to watch. I was just like, I hate every minute of this. What is happening? How did we not turn the ball over on Jameis Winston? How did we not intercept Jameis Winston? But it was just, he just played such smart football and just, they had a good game plan. It's just weird that they just, from week to week, you don't know if their game plan is going to be good or not. Taysom Hill I'm sick of hearing his name.
He had a monster run this last weekend.
Oh my gosh, how does anyone see him come into a football game and not immediately think run?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it drives me wild. I remember when we beat them last year, they had a play that was, I mean, a huge play. I think it was 4th down. They were trying to convert 4th down. They were losing, and they handed it up the middle to Taysom, and we stopped it, and it was just like, yeah, guys, it wasn't that hard to figure out because that's all they do. People were like surprised. They're like, no one ever stops Taysom Hill for no gain. And I'm like, yeah, well, just stack the box. He's not going anywhere. We released him for a reason. And then there's Washington, and I liked Heineke because how can I not? Dude's exactly the type of quarterback I like for a football team that's like Washington football team. And that is where you are supposedly have this really good defense and you just get yourself a game manager that doesn't lose you football games. And so far it's like it's not really him. You can't put it on him and why they're not winning football games because you're getting the Heineke that you think you're getting every week. It's just like you said, the defense, it's like, where are you guys? That's what your bread and butter was supposed to be. I think that this is actually a game for them to prove that they're the defense that everyone thinks that they're going to be. So I think that they step up and Washington football team wins this football game. Plus they're home. I like them at home.
So I'm only picking Washington here simply because I really liked what I've seen from Heineke over like the last couple of weeks. There's been a lot of growth. He had some painful things to learn about against the Bills. They intercepted him twice. But, I mean, he had a pretty good game against the Giants. You know, he had success against Atlanta. And I understand that New Orleans is a much better defense than Atlanta. But the guy can make some throws, and there's a couple things about the roster, like specifically in Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson, and the line's not that bad either, that I feel like they should be able to handle, like, New Orleans at home. But, like, I say this, and we could get the Jameis Winston that threw for, 180 yards, 5 touchdowns against Green Bay, and you could do that against Washington, right? So, at the end of the day, I really don't know what's going to happen, but I think I'm going to pick Washington here simply so Purdue can get another game ahead of me.
And almost part of me wants to change my pick. Because I believe if you can take Alvin Kamara away right now, I'm not trusting Jameis Winston.
I wouldn't trust him to carry the game either.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust him to win the game. So I think if you can take Alvin Kamara away, which this defense has the personnel to do, I believe that Washington does win this game. So you know what? In fact, I think I am actually going to change my pick.
Let me put both.
We talked him into it, Sanders.
I honestly think he did. Because that's what I was thinking. If you can take Alvin Kamara away, I really don't think Jameis Winston right now has the ability to, throw for 400 yards and not have a bunch of mistakes mixed in with it. So, yeah, I'm going to go Washington.
He's going to angry text me when the Saints win.
Oh, yeah, they're probably going to smoke him now. So.
All right, so we got the Patriots versus the Texans. Real quickly, I would like to say I think the better quarterback on Sunday was Mac Jones. And that's not to be edgy or the hot take or whatever. Mostly because
you're right.
I've been a big Tom Brady defender. This guy completed 19 passes in a row, and he basically. I don't want to say.
In the rain, too.
I don't want to say this because it's really cliche, but I think I would have said it even if he wasn't playing against the Buccaneers. He looked like Tom Brady. The offense looked like a young Tom Brady was running the offense, right? The typical play action that they ran into, the pass down the middle, that was a classic Patriot play. Right, or the cross routes coming in, or the go route on the out, like just everything Mac Jones did. I'm like, yeah, this is the exact same offense that Tom Brady ran, and Mac Jones is executing it very well. I don't think Mac Jones is ever going to be elite status, to be honest with you. I think he's probably going to be in the. I'm going to be biased here for a second. I'm going to say he's going to be like in the Joe Flacco area, like a guy or even Eli Manning area, where he's going to be like top 12, maybe
16-12 range,
maybe that number 9 or 10 range, right?
Put him in a system that works for him
in the regular season, and then if he just has a postseason where he's good, like Eli Manning did twice, and then Joe Flacco did once, you can win with that, right? Especially when your coach is Bill Belichick on the defensive side of the ball. So this is a guy who can win New England Super Bowls in the future. I can't predict when that's going to happen, right? But as of right now, that's what he looks like. And who knows? Maybe he becomes a more explosive quarterback, kind of like he was in Alabama. But there's a huge difference between the throws you can make in college, right, and the throws you can make in the NFL. Like, you're allowed to make some of those deep ball gambles because secondaries aren't good enough to punish it. In the NFL, yeah, you can't do it. You'll get punished for it pretty easily. So, that being said, we have the Patriots versus Texans here. There are moral victories in the NFL, and that's what the Patriots had on Sunday night, and I think they're going to take that moving forward into the Texans. Whereas the Texans got bludgeoned by the Bills 0-40 last week, nothing to build off of. I feel like the Patriots can take their momentum from Sunday night, keep moving forward, and beat the Texans this Sunday.
Yeah. For me to put it as professionally as possible, the Texans are butt, and so I'm just going to pick the Patriots.
Yeah, I'm not picking a Texans team like this to lose a game to Bill Belichick. I don't care who's the quarterback of the Patriots. I don't care what personnel is on what team. I'm not picking this Texans team to beat a Bill Belichick coach team. It's just not going to happen. So.
All right, cool. Not much for us to say on this one, but I would like to say congrats to Mac Jones. They played defensively really well. Like, there was a big, massive chess game going on between Tom Brady and Belichick. Like, a lot of what Tom Brady probably thought he saw pre-snap didn't happen post-snap, right? There was just a lot of things that probably both of them were doing to try and psychoanalyze each other, and obviously the Bucs won in the end. But if you're a football nerd and you like that aspect of the game, Sunday night was probably entertaining for you, but even for someone like me who likes that, I didn't really enjoy the game till the third or fourth quarter, because the first and second quarter were really bad. It was just not enjoyable to watch. And the rain probably had something to do with that too. Speaking of the Buccaneers, that's the next matchup. They play Miami. I have come to the point where I just don't trust myself to pick Miami. They lost to the Colts at home. What the hell? That's my response. Oh. What the hell? You go for, and I don't even think it's just a purely Jacoby Brissett problem. Like, they took the Raiders to overtime the week before, and then the following Sunday, you are just complete, I'm going to say a complete ass against the Colts, who are 0-3? What? And you're playing the Bucs in Tampa Bay? Give me the Bucs. Party, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know, because I'll admit, like, I haven't watched enough Dolphins football to really be able to psychoanalyze what's going on with them right now. And
Sunday's
and like,
game
I'm not
was miserable, dude. It really was.
I could tell. I'm not sure what's wrong with them right now, because I really like their coaching staff. They got talent on their roster. I think they're deficient in some areas, but I don't know. It's just something about that team that it's just not coming together right now. I really don't have a lot to say on this matchup because, again, I don't know what's going wrong with the Dolphins, because I expected them to be a lot better than this. But I was never really a big fan of Tua either. I'm not going to say I'm surprised about their struggles, but I expected them to be a better football team than they are. So, but with that being said, you got Tom Brady and the Bucs, man. It's a no-brainer.
So the Dolphins are probably the football team I know the least amount about in the NFL. Like, I mean, with a combination of how bad they've been for how long they've been, it's just like no interest to me to even care what's going on in Miami. I will say my interest peaked a little bit with the draft of Tua because I was interested to see how Tua did with all his injuries in college and just not. There's a lot of unknowns with him going into the NFL. There's still so many unknowns with Tua, and that bothers me, especially with that roster. Like, they've got talent on both sides of the ball, but it doesn't feel like it's gelling the way people thought it was going to. It seemed for a little bit there before last year like it was going to be a super fun football team, and it just hasn't come to fruition yet. And one person that I know that will be on that football field 100% doesn't have a single unknown bone in his body is Tom Brady. So I don't know how anyone would ever pick the Dolphins to win this football game. I would pick the Buccaneers to win if the odds were Buccaneers plus 14. I'd probably still pick them to win by more than 14 points. It's just I don't think it's going to be pretty for the Dolphins this week. Yeah. Plus, I feel like Tom Brady has a little something to prove. I think he's hearing a lot about how he got outplayed by Mac Jones and got kind of outplayed by Bill Belichick if it weren't for one field goal. So I think he's got a little bit to prove.
One thing I would like to say, and keep this in mind. So I think the Bucs are beating the Dolphins. I don't think it's going to be as big as you say, because Tom Brady, the coaches, he has struggled against the most. We just found out, Bill Belichick, right? But he's always struggled against former Belichick coaches. Like, even though Matt Patricia was not good in Detroit, he really struggled against Matt Patricia.
That's fair.
All three games that he played, right? And all three games that he's played against the Dolphins under, oh my goodness, what's his name again?
Flores.
Yeah, Brian Flores. All three games he's played under Brian Flores, he has struggled. So I think like those like coaches from New England, they just know like what makes Tom Brady tick because they obviously practiced against him.
I feel like everyone knows what makes Tom Brady tick, and then NFL coaches still don't do it.
No, but like here's the thing: Belichick knows what makes him tick, and we saw Brady struggle all day long. Right? They still won, but he struggled all day long. Right? Like Mac Jones played better than he did. Matt Patricia, made Tom Brady struggle, but they still beat the Lions. Right? It just wasn't pretty, and I don't think this win is going to be pretty. Is what I'm saying. Because Brian Flores, the last couple times he's gone against Tom Brady has made him struggle. I'm sure he's going to make him struggle again.
I don't hate it.
So still Bucks win, obviously.
Yeah.
I just don't think it'll be.
I think everyone agrees there.
I don't think it'll be like the 35-14 decimation that some people might. And if it is, hey, more power to the Buccaneers, I guess. So on the show, we always let our guests do their team's game first. So why don't you take it away with the Packers and the Bengals? I mean, we already know what your pick is going to be, but why don't you take it away anyway?
Oh man, it's so much fun. I told everyone to settle down on Twitter after week 1. I had to try to just talk people off the ledge, it seemed like. And what's happened since then is good defensive outings, despite some injuries that have happened, despite not really knowing who's playing where a couple of times, and these unknown guys. And they've won 3 straight, and now they're about to go into Cincinnati. And I mean, the Bengals are a weird team also, I feel like, because Joe Burrow's really good.
Oh, yeah.
And Kyler Boyd and Higgins and Jamar Chase, just what a wide receiving core. But that offensive line is still so suspect. And they haven't proven to me that they can keep anyone safe in the backfield. And despite some injuries, the Packers still have a pretty mean pass rush. You got Kenny Clark, who's eating up blockers. I would like to say a lot of people don't talk about Kenny Clark in the way that they should, because Kenny Clark doesn't put up the numbers of like that you would think he should as far as sacks and tackles and whatnot. Kenny Clark eats up blockers and makes it much easier for other players on the rush side of things to be more successful. And I'm glad we're paying that man. I'm glad that man is only 26 years old, despite being in the league for like 6 years. And we can maybe have him for a long time. We got Rashawn Gary's been playing some really good football lately, even though everyone's tried to label him as a bust. It's just our defense has been kind of playing like what really good football without wowing anybody necessarily, which is all I care about. I don't care about wowing anybody on defense, because we made it to the NFC Championship 2 years in a row with just some poor, awful defensive football. And now to see guys go down and still our defense steps up and does what they need to do against good football teams too, against San Francisco and against Pittsburgh. It's been super fun, and the offense is starting to figure it out and score almost at will, it feels like, kind of getting back to what they were last year offensively when they were the best offensive football. So, sorry, Joe Burrow, you're going to learn a valuable lesson about the bad man, Aaron Rodgers, this weekend.
No, he is a bad man.
And how you just can't keep up with him with the team that you have right now. And I wish you luck in the future, but you are going to have a rough day this weekend. Packers by like 30.
Oh. To the moon.
To the moon.
You want to take this one, Sanders, or me?
Yeah, sure. I'll take it. I was going to let you, but I'll take it. So, funnily enough, I want to rain on your parade for a second. Let me prorate this by saying I'm picking Green Bay, right? But funnily enough, the reason I'm picking Green Bay is because the Jaguars almost beat the Bengals last Thursday. And Thursday night games are really weird, so maybe we shouldn't put so much stock into Thursday night games all the time. You can't really game plan for Thursday night games because you play a game Sunday. You have Monday and Tuesday for practice, so no days off, and then Wednesday you fly out and you don't practice, right? You just have walkthroughs. So you kind of just have to play your game and hope it beats the other team's game on Thursday, right?
Thursday night football sucks. We can get rid of it.
Yeah. So for Packers and Bengals specifically, though, I actually feel like because of that kind of thing and it being in Cincinnati, I feel like the Bengals actually have a shot. And let me tell you something right now. Jamar Chase has revolutionized this offense in ways I didn't think he would. He has been a go-to for Joe Burrow. He has been a guy who stretches the field for them and has made this offense way more dynamic, right? And against a Green Bay team that is suffering some injuries, I truly feel like the Bengals can surprise Green Bay this weekend. I think this game will be much closer than it probably has any business of being. Because on paper, you're like, yeah, I picked Green Bay, right? But at the same time...
Well, that's kind of the Packers' MO, too, is like having games be way closer than they have any business being.
But specifically for this matchup, right, I feel like the Bengals are going to come out and like probably surprise some people. Like, I think people might be talking about how the narrative will probably be Green Bay got away with this one, right? They just slimmed by. When the narrative probably should have been, hey, the Bengals are a lot better than we thought. Watch out. There's a reason they're 3-1 right now, I feel. And
I think they're better than people give them credit for as well, the Bengals.
Yeah. See, I really do think they are. But on the other hand, they struggled to beat the Jaguars, and for that reason, I'm like, yeah, I can't pick Green Bay to lose this one. Me personally. What about you, Pardue?
So you want to bring up the Jags, but a lot of people's best team in the league, my team, struggled to beat the Jags for an entire half as well.
You know what? It's because you made a bad field goal call. It's literally it.
I mean, we were down by 11 at one point. It wasn't just because of that. So I'm not saying that. I honestly, it's not because like I really like the Packers. They're a good football team. They're a great football team. I don't know, man. This Bengal team it's a pretty good damn team. And I don't know. I think.
As you want to pick the upset?
I want to go with an upset pick here because I really like Joe Burrow and I like what they're doing offensively. And yeah, that offensive line's been bad, but I think the reason I'm not going to do it is because of the Joe Mixon injury. He's got a bum ankle and they're saying he's week to week. He's not going to play this week. I believe that's going to hurt their offensive production. And I don't know the names of their backups off the top of my head, but they're not a top 3 rusher like Joe Mixon was. So I'm going to go Packers here, but I'm not going to be shocked if the Bengals do pull it off. And I wouldn't even necessarily call it an upset. I believe the Bengals are a really good football team, and they're going to continue to shock some people as long as this season continues as this season continues to go on. So yeah, I'm going to go Packers, but don't sleep on those Bengals and Burrow.
So
not at all. Not at all, but I'm sleeping on them.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to throw a name at you guys. I'm going to throw a name at you guys to watch for this weekend if you haven't been noticing it, if you haven't been watching all of the Packer games. The biggest issue the Packers have had for a long time has been run defense and the inside linebacker position. Devondre Campbell is a name to look out for this year. That man has been all over a football field.
Now, hear me out on this, because Devondre Campbell was a Cardinal last year. And in the first 8 games, he was a wrecking ball. He was amazing football player.
Does he not go a full season? Does he not go a full season?
He does not go full season.
Okay, because right now he is a wrecking ball is what he is.
No, because I know exactly what you mean. He was one of the best defensive players for the Cardinals last year through about the first 8 games, and he was really, really great for the Falcons for about the first half of a season when he was with the Falcons too, because I like Devondre Campbell, but the consistency is a thing with him, and I don't think he's an every down linebacker, but hey, he could prove me wrong, but you're right, but let's see him do it for a full season.
So you heard the news today, though, right, that makes him not an every down linebacker?
No,
they signed Jalen Smith, that's right.
Jalen Smith got signed with the Green Bay Packers.
Jalen Smith has been really bad.
Yeah, we're good at those guys. We're good to get those guys. We get it, but no, I think it's going to be nice. I think Devondre Campbell and Jalen Smith might complement each other nicely and be able to intertwine, not have to be every down guys, and that helps a lot. It also, I think Jalen Smith is more of we got him for a coverage linebacker spot because Oren Burks, who is supposed to be our coverage linebacker, is miserable at it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. We'll see how it all pans out. But you guys are right. Cincinnati's not as bad as people give them credit for. I'm just going to sit here and say that we still have the best offense in football, and we're winning a Super Bowl this year because it's the last stand. So
wait. I'm not gonna lie here, Kay, because we're talking about best offenses here, Kay. Purdue has a case because his team's 4-0 and just lighting everybody, right?
Yeah.
And and his team.
And maybe arguably the best wide receiver in football.
Well, his team, I think Purdue and I still give that to Adams, bro. We still give that to Adams.
Close.
Despite Hopkins.
It's so close.
But
I think due to technicality, as a technical receiver, I believe Adams is more sound, but I believe Hopkins can do things physically that Adams cannot.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment.
So what I wanted to say was only 4 teams in history have done what the Cardinals have done, and they're the 4th team to do it, which is score 30-plus points and have 400-plus yards in their first 4 games. And all those teams made the Super Bowl and had the best offense that year. So Pardue's got a case for saying he has the best offense, and my team has scored the most points out of any of y'all motherfuckers the last 4 years in a row. So I got my case, too.
Yeah, but I mean, we just do whatever we want. We got Aaron Rodgers.
All right, let's move
and
on.
Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones.
All right, I'm going to move on to the next one here. We got the Denver Broncos versus Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going with the upset pick here, actually, because I think the Broncos should win this game. But I'm going to go Steelers, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm not high on the Steelers. In fact, I don't like the Steelers. In fact, I want them to lose this game because I'm a Ravens fan, first of all. Second of all, Big Ben looks like he sucks.
So bad. He's so
really
bad.
He's so old.
Here's what I'm going to tell you, though, okay? I'm making 2 picks right now. If Teddy Bridgewater is going to play on Sunday, which he did not practice today and is still in concussion protocol, if he does not play on Sunday, I am picking the Steelers simply because I think Mike Tomlin can take advantage of a Drew Lock-led offense. That is why I would pick the Steelers to win. All defense, don't even need to talk about offense. It's just all defense, right? If Teddy Bridgewater is playing, though, my pick will change to Denver. It really depends on who's playing quarterback here, and that's how I feel about that matchup. Because if Teddy Bridgewater's playing, Teddy Bridgewater's been playing some sound football lately. He would struggle a bit against the Steelers, but I think he'd do enough to get it done. Especially because the Steelers' offense, just outside of Najee Harris, doesn't have a lot, and Deontay Johnson doesn't have a lot going on for them. So that it's a weird matchup to look at. I think it's an intriguing matchup because of the things and the drama going on in Pittsburgh right now. But my pick is Denver if Teddy B is playing, and my pick is Pittsburgh if Drew Lock is playing.
I think I'm going to fall right in line with you as well. Okay. Like you said, oh, God, dude. I have watched a little bit of Pittsburgh Steelers football because they've aired a couple of their games here in Arizona. And I've just thrown them on while I'm like doing chores or whatever Sunday morning. And I'm watching Big Ben, and it makes me want to throw up. It's worse than Peyton Manning in 2015. And Peyton Manning in 2015
was bad.
Was fucking bad. There's not much to say with that Steelers offense and that Steelers team right now.
Najee Harris is good.
Najee Harris is good, for sure. But when you can stack the box all the time because, number one, Big Ben can't throw downfield, and you're going to just sell out to stop the run in the first place, I'm not going to pick you to win many games. And if that's it, and especially with the division they're in, like the Steelers are just going to have a rough year. And they're probably just going to be like a middling team. They're probably going to win like 7 to 8 games, so they're not going to have like a super high draft pick or anything, so they're not going to be able to go get one of these quarterbacks coming out. But even then, the upcoming quarterback draft class is not that impressive either. So, I don't know. I feel like the Steelers are going to be entering a little bit of a quarterback purgatory here coming up pretty soon. Anyway, nothing to do with this weekend. Like you said, if Bridgewater plays, I'm picking Pittsburgh. If it's Drew Lock playing, yeah, I'm not picking that guy. So
I think you meant if Teddy Bridgewater's playing, you're picking Denver. I know what you meant.
Okay, yeah, you know what I'm saying.
I got to witness Big Ben play football live over the weekend.
Wasn't good, was it?
And I'll tell you what, it might have been raining from the time we started tailgating to the time we stopped tailgating, but there wasn't a drop of rain during that football game. They had pristine weather. It was like 65 degrees, no wind. It was absolutely beautiful. Like, sure, we can say the field was wet, whatever, a little mist. And I watched a man that looked like he was 60 years old on the football field try and play football, and it's just hard to watch. I think it's just gotten to a point and then you don't have the weapons you used to have. Like, yes, you have Najee Harris, but like you said, like, what did the Packers do? Packers are like historically a terrible run defense team, and all they did was just say, well, we're going to make Big Ben beat us, and he couldn't do it. And so as long as the Broncos do that, I think either way, Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater, I'm picking the Broncos to win this football game.
All right. There we go.
I think they just stop Najee Harris and they win this football game.
So, I think that's an interesting take, and I dig it. I do dig it. So the next matchup is between two quarterbacks I like to watch. Jalen Hurts and Sam Darnold. Let me tell you right now, Philadelphia does not deserve Jalen Hurts. This man should be on a better team than he's currently on. Like, I am thoroughly convinced after 4 games that Jalen Hurts is the franchise quarterback for the Eagles. But I don't think the Eagles are the franchise for Jalen Hurts, at least at the moment. They got to do better. They got to draft better. They got to get something. They have a quarterback. And in an era where we're supposed to take advantage of quarterbacks before long-term contracts, because let's be real, if your name is not Tom Brady, every quarterback that's won a Super Bowl has always been on their rookie contract for the last 20 years. If your name is not Tom Brady, or I guess Peyton Manning because he won one, but that's a fact, right? When the Packers won theirs, it's because Aaron Rodgers was still cheap back in 2010 at the time. And I'm not saying the Packers can't make the Super Bowl again, but they've had a lot of NFC Championship woes ever since, and we've always pointed to one position on their team that's like, oh, that should be improved, or if they would have had this, they'd be fine. And that happens to a lot of teams who have like high-paid quarterbacks, right? Is they make it to the divisional or NFC or AFC Championship, and we point to one position that they could have had and paid for, but unfortunately they're paying their quarterback. And the reality is that what did Tom Brady do that none of those other quarterbacks did, right? Was always like 14th or 15th highest paid. I think at one point in 2017, Tom Brady was the 20th highest paid quarterback. He's just never taken money, right? So, and I'm not saying that like teams with high paid quarterbacks can't do it. Like Mahomes went to the Super Bowl last year, right? And he's a half billion dollar man. And the Packers have consistently made it to the NFC Championship, right? It's not like you can't get there. And even Big Ben, right? Big Ben went to the AFC Championship a few times, just couldn't make it past Tom Brady. In this era, we say you need to take advantage of the rookie contract. The Eagles aren't doing it right now, and it sucks because I watch Jalen Hurts, and I'm like, damn, if this guy had a better team, the Eagles would be rolling. Unfortunately, they're not, because they don't have a better team around them, and Jalen Hurts makes this team better. And they're playing a team which has a nasty defense in Carolina. I know Dallas just completely ran them over. They had a run defense that was supposed to be record-setting until Ezekiel Elliott just ran for 140 yards over them on 20 carries. Elliott was ridiculous this last Sunday. But this defense is still good. I think they just ran into an NFC team that is a lot better than I think a lot of people thought they were going to be going into the year. Better than I thought they were going to be going into the year. And I'm not sure if the Eagles are going to be able to do what the Cowboys did to the Panthers, if that makes sense. I think the Panthers are going to go back to their defensive ways. Sam Darnold is good. That offense is good. Despite the fact CMC is not there, it doesn't really matter because Sam Darnold runs the show there right now. I love watching him play. This Panthers team's fun to watch. So are the Eagles, so I anticipate this game to be fun. But at the end of the day, the Panthers just have a better roster, and I don't know why I would ever pick the Eagles in this case. Well, I don't know. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said. They don't deserve Jalen Hurts. Their roster is just not good. And the Panthers just kind of came out of nowhere and were like, hey, we're kind of building this solid roster over here. We got a solid defense. We need Christian McCaffrey back badly for my fantasy reasons, because I am in running back purgatory right now. I had Hines for the Colts. He got me negative points last week, so that was sick. Come back, Christian. But still, even without him, they're a better team than the Eagles, and I'd be hard-pressed to pick anything other than the Panthers over the Eagles in Carolina.
I anticipate DJ Moore to light it up this weekend on the
receiving side of things. He's lit it up for me every week so far, so why not continue that?
Yeah, I think bottom line, this Panthers offense has too many weapons for this pretty abysmal Eagles defense to keep up with. I've already started it since the Cardinals' run defense is so bad. We need to go out there and save Fletcher Cox. So we need to take their one decent piece away. Put him on a contender. But with that being said, yeah, I'm not picking the Eagles here. I feel bad for Jalen Hurts because he's doing everything he can. But I think from coaching to personnel, just ever since the Eagles won that Super Bowl, they just decided to stop giving a shit about their franchise. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think the Eagles are in a really weird spot, but I'm not going to pick
about their quarterbacks either, dude. They built a statue of Foles when Carson Wentz was their starter.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the mental game that would play on you. Like, just imagine, like,
That's so shitty.
You get hurt, right? And you are still the franchise guy who got the multi-million-dollar contract, right? But every day you go to work, you see your coworker, right? They have a statue of your coworker because your coworker did a little bit when you couldn't. It's gotta suck,
man. I feel so shitty.
It would feel incredibly shitty, wouldn't it? It'd be like if Aaron Rodgers went down last year, Jordan Love came back, won the championship game, won the Super Bowl, and then suddenly they have a statue up of Jordan Love as Aaron Rodgers goes back. Like,
I'd quit my job immediately. I'd be like, "F you guys, I'm out."
Rodgers would have actually given the middle finger to Green Bay and left. Speaking of leaving, or maybe I should say not being with the team, let's talk about the Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't need to describe what happened over the weekend. I think everybody has seen it. We all know what I'm talking about. I'd rather not get into that territory. It's uncomfortable territory, something I try to avoid on the show. But let's talk about the fact that the head coach of the Jaguars probably isn't going to make it through the season at this point. And the worst, and I'm surprised he's not fired now. Not because, and here's why. I'm not saying this because I think if this happened in the offseason, right, if it happens in the offseason, that's between you and your family, you and your wife, right, and you and whatever, if you believe in an upper being, you and the upper being, right? This happened after a loss that you almost won, by the way. You almost won that game. And instead of going home with your team, you stay behind, and that incident happens.
How do you not travel home with your team? Like, that's just what, like, that's mind-blowing to me.
Extremely unprofessional. And to be fair to Urban Meyer, I would like to say that he had said that he and the owner and the GM had talks weeks in advance about him staying after the Cincinnati game.
But you still think that wouldn't piss players off?
Maybe, but maybe he talked with the team. We don't know. We don't know what happened before the game, right? We really have no idea. We really don't. But if he's seeing it as, you know, hey, we have an extra few days off, and that's when players usually go and see their families and whatnot or do their stuff, I can see why he says, you know, his excuse is he wants to be with his grandkids. Fine. I'm sure that's probably what happened too. That's not what happened late at night. And it's extremely unprofessional. And at the end of the day, when your team lost, they're 0-4, you don't go home with them, and that comes out, and you come out and you apologize, but the apology doesn't feel very sincere. And you had said you cut players with or without vaccinations, which is against NFLPA policy, right? Whether you support vaccinations or not, it's not what I'm here to discuss. I'm here to discuss that he broke NFLPA policy. We're talking about his job. You tried to get Tim Tebow as a tight end in, and it clearly was never going to work. And the guy that you originally hired as team operations manager was a racist who they had to immediately resign back in March. Like, there's just nothing about the track in the last 6 months that makes me think, yeah, this is the guy to help a generational talent in Trevor Lawrence. I'm shocked this morning that the owner, Shad Khan, came out and said he lost our respect and he needs to earn it back. My thought is, he lost your respect? Why is he still at the job? Why is he there? And
let's not forget that he lost the entire locker room when reports came out that they were laughing at him when he left his apology room.
There was reports that the players laughed after they, like, it's over, dude. It's over.
Yeah.
They're not. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't win a game this season. I really wouldn't. And if we go back to the matchup, which is Tennessee versus Jaguars, yeah, Tennessee looks awful. And frankly, the Jaguars should be able to win this game. But if we're in a position where the players don't trust their coach, head coach specifically, and he makes a call they don't like on the field, and they decide to do something else, and it doesn't work, yikes. I have to pick Tennessee simply because I cannot believe in anything the Jaguars, and it's not even the players' fault. It's not even the people playing the game their fault. It's the structure. It's everything. And I try not to buy into drama, but this is just so hard to ignore when it comes to on-field product. It's a massive distraction. And I can't imagine what practices are going to be like now. What game plans are going to be like. I just can't imagine. And at least Mike Vrabel is a decent coach. Yeah, Tennessee.
It's got to be so awkward in that locker room right now. And I feel so bad for Trevor Lawrence because, like, this is the last thing he needs right now. Like, he's trying to develop as a young player in this league, especially playing the quarterback position, and now he's having to deal with the distraction of the guy who's supposed to be developing him. Like, of all the people in the franchise, whether it's your GM, player personnel people, other players on your team, training staff, your head coach is doing this shit, how the hell do you expect Trevor Lawrence to have any type of success this season if your head coach is going out and doing bullshit like that? Like, I mean, I don't know how he has a job right now. I genuinely don't. I don't know how he doesn't have the heart to just straight up resign at that point. The players in that locker room, there's no way in hell they're buying any message he's going to try and sell at this point. They're already not buying his apology. I know the Titans have kind of had a weird season, but even like, let's just look at it from a football standpoint. From what I've seen from the Jags, it's so sloppy. It's just like, even when they're not being called, it seems like 50% of the snaps, they have an offensive lineman moving early that should be called a false start, but the refs don't want to call a fucking false start every single snap, so they just let it slide. And if you guys really watch them,
I noticed that last Thursday. I noticed that.
Right? So like, I wasn't the only person noticing it. Someone is always jumping on that team. The lack of communication is insane on that team, and like just constantly snapping the ball before Trevor Lawrence is ready, handoffs that take 3 seconds before the ball's finally handed off because it seems like they don't know if they're actually running an RPO or not. It's so messy what's going on there, not even just off the field but on the field too. It's just, it looks like Bishop Sycamore in the NFL. So
funny meme.
So, yeah, I'm picking
Sycamore,
Titans.
Isn't that the team in Southern California? Are they like the fourth team in the NFC West? Sorry, I was going with the joke that's on Cardinals Twitter. Sorry. For like a few people who got that, I hope you laughed.
They'll understand. So for you, like, the NFC West fans like are all making a joke that the 49ers don't actually exist and we're not acknowledging them.
That's fantastic. So they're Bishop Sycamore.
Yeah,
so the Bishop, or like, for example, last Sunday when they had a Sunday night game, Cardinals Twitter was saying, "Who does Green Bay play this Sunday?" It says they have a game, but like, there's no opponent for them to play. So, or it was like, or people were like, "Why is Green Bay traveling to San Francisco? There's no football game happening there." So
that's fantastic.
So and it's not just Cardinals Twitter; it's the entire NFC West. Like, I've seen Rams fans do it, and Seahawks. Like, they're just all like ganging up on 49ers Twitter. It's really funny. Like, from an outsider's
because 49ers Twitter kind of sucks.
Oh god, they're awful.
The worst people I've met so far have been 49ers Twitter. They're just very toxic.
I remember they came out of the woodworks when they beat the Packers in the NFC Championship game, and I was like, yeah, I don't like any of you guys.
So
I know like one or two good 49er fans.
Do you have anything real quickly on Jaguars Titans?
I think you guys touched on everything. I think it's kind of, as much as the Eagles don't deserve Jalen Hurts, the Jaguars don't deserve Trevor Lawrence, and really anything good at this point. The one thing I will say is it feels obviously not to the same extent, but it feels like that season, the last season of Mike McCarthy in Green Bay, where he kind of lost the locker room, and it felt like the team just started selling. And then he got fired. It's going to be kind of an even worse version of that in Jacksonville for the rest of the season. They already look like a team that's selling when they're trying, and now they're not going to try as hard. So Titans by $1 billion.
All right, so I already commented on this game earlier, so I'm not going to comment on it again. We got Browns-Chargers coming up. I talked about the Browns earlier against the Vikings. It was just a messy game, really bad. I don't even want to talk about it. On the other hand, the Chargers, on fire. I still, maybe it's just my stubbornness, have my reserved doubts about the Chargers, but I believe in them. I believed in them enough last week to pick them to beat the Raiders, and I believe in them enough to beat the Browns. Because, not only did the Chargers have like more or less kind of a statement win Monday night, the Browns just don't feel like the team from last season. They're a good team. They just don't feel like that 13-win team I thought they were going to be. They feel like a 10-win team or a 9-win team. And Baker's just not doing it like I thought he was. Not that Baker's been playing poorly. He just hasn't been playing excellently. And for that reason, I got to go Chargers because everything that I just said about the Browns, the Chargers are the opposite. Play really well. Brendan Staley is amazing. Already might be coach of the year. Very possibly. And the players love him. The first thing I remember hearing on the Rich Eisen show was he would ask players because he travels there and asks players sometimes when he was at the Chargers. He said the first thing that a group of players said to him when he asked what do you think of Brandon Staley was they were like, love him, great guy. Like if your locker room's bought in and everybody likes you, you're making great calls on the field. What's going to stop you, right? Another young coach ready to set the league on fire. Chargers.
Yeah, the Browns for me are like as weird as it is saying after what we watched last year, it feels like their offensive weak link is Baker right now.
A little bit.
And he just like his decision making has been awful. He runs when he's got guys wide open downfield. He throws when he should run. It's just been like hard to watch. And then the defense has just been so good. It's like, how long can your defense carry you when you got to play good offenses and play these teams that are electric? And the Chargers are just that. I will say Mike Williams, he is unbelievable when he's sitting on the bench of my fantasy team. He is non-existent when I start him. So I'm going to bench him this week, which means the Chargers are going to just destroy the Browns.
Yeah,
so I pick the Chargers.
I've been on the Chargers bandwagon, and I've been convincing Sanders like all along that this is the team the Chargers are going to be, and he wasn't really buying into it until about, I would say, last week. But and I wholeheartedly agree with everything you guys are saying about Baker. Part of it, I feel like even Baker takes steps back when OBJ is on the field.
Yeah.
I feel like he's trying to constantly force the ball to him because he's supposed to be their top receiver, and that's holding the offense back. So I think I want to pick Chargers here because I know they're the team that's hot, but I also don't think Baker can play this poorly forever. And I believe their team is just too good. And that's no disrespect to the Chargers. They're in a great team too. But I think I'm just going to go the Browns here because I love what they're doing defensively. I believe that pass rush can really get after Justin Herbert. And if you can put pressure on Justin Herbert, I'm not sure how he's going to deal with the pressure that the Browns can provide. And then the back end of the Browns.
Chargers O-line's really good, though.
It is really good, but is it going to beat or is it going to match up super well against what, in my opinion, the best pass rusher in the league right now, Myles Garrett?
Relatively well, yes. I don't think anybody would match up super well, though.
Right. So, I don't know. I could very well be wrong on this one. I expect to be wrong on this one, but I think I'm going to go Browns here. Just, it's not that I can't see them losing. It's just I'm not going to pick against them here this week.
I don't know how the tables turned and Sanders picked Chargers and Purdue picked against them. All right, so the next one is going to be the Chicago Bears versus the Las Vegas Raiders. I actually don't have a lot on this one. Justin Fields is starting. Thank God. By the way, thank God. Justin Fields looked pretty decent against Detroit. Raiders, I don't know why they abandoned the strongest part of their team. The strongest part is that they're a passing team. I know they have Josh Jacobs, and I understand that you want to use him, but your strength is the passing game. Ruggs is developed. Henry Renfrow looks great. Darren Waller is your tight end. And Derek Carr is playing well. You are a pass-first team. Please play to your strengths, or you are going to lose games like you did against the Chargers. Because the one time when it looked like the Raiders were going to win that game on Monday night, they were passing a lot. When it looked like they were coming back from a 0-21 deficit, made it 14-21, they were passing a lot. And there was a lot of energy in that stadium in favor of the Raiders during that time. So I would hope they realize they are a pass-first team. That being said, they're playing the Raiders. The Raiders are playing the Bears in Las Vegas. I don't give the Bears a huge shot here. I think it was cool that Justin Fields got his win. We'll see what he does when he goes to the crazy environment that Las Vegas has. Purdue.
Yeah, I'm not picking a Matt Nagy-led coached football team. That dude is awful, man. His play calling, his schemes, he's terrible, dude. I will not pick that team. And what was it? Didn't they have like 10 net passing yards in a game a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, it was bad.
With Justin Fields as their quarterback, and I know, I really like. Yeah, exactly. I really like Justin Fields, and yeah, it's great that he's starting and everything, but that team is. I don't know, man. I don't know how Matt Nagy has a job at this point. The Bears they're a middling football team. You know what? The talent on the Bears roster is actually really good. It's just their coaching staff and the way that team is run is so poor that I can't really buy into them. And then I believe Matt Nagy's not even choosing to start Justin Fields because he even said earlier this week prior to them naming him the starter that he's like, oh yeah, it's still an open competition, or when Andy Dalton is healthy, he is the starter. Like, if that's the case, like you guys aren't competing this year. Let Fields get in there and get some meaningful snaps. Let him start to develop. At that point, like, I don't know. I can't buy into the leadership that Matt Nagy provides, and I don't know how much that roster buys into Matt Nagy's message at this point anymore. So, yeah, I'm not picking the Bears. So,
I agree with like most of what's being said, but the one thing I don't necessarily agree with, and this one people give me heat for, I don't think Justin Fields should be starting, and that's not because I think Andy Dalton's better quarterback than Justin Fields. I think it's because I don't want his career ruined.
Right.
He has no offensive line, and it's tough to develop. You're developing by learning how to just not get sacked.
He definitely feels like a quarterback who can play past that, because some quarterbacks can play past that.
Yeah, like Russ played past it. Russ is an incredible quarterback with no offensive line. And so it's possible. I'm just scared for what's going to happen to Justin Fields if he gets rushed into a team that's not ready for him to learn how to play NFL football with. But Matt Nagy's an idiot. Ryan Pace is an idiot. I love it. I hope that they are extended and are leading the Chicago Bears for my entire lifetime. And as long as they are, I don't think you'll ever see me pick a game where the Bears will win unless they're playing the Jaguars this year. So I am also picking the Raiders because I love Derek Carr. Get Darren Waller involved more, though, because that's how you just are incredible.
Was 18 targets not enough in that one game?
Yeah, but that's just one game. That's just are we ever since then? He hasn't really done much.
Yeah, it's been quiet.
But
yeah, I like the Raiders this year.
Yeah, we all got the Raiders for this one. All right, next one. Listen, this might be a team where I just pick them until they lose. Cardinals are a dominant force. They're clicking on all cylinders on defense except for the run game, which, funnily enough, the 49ers could beat them through the run game. It's extremely possible. This is not a guaranteed win for the Cardinals. But at the end of the day, there's nothing they're doing wrong on offense. Their secondary is baller. Their pass rush is great. They have one weakness, which is, like I said, funnily enough, the one weakness the 49ers can break. But I don't buy it. Don't buy it, especially because I'm 99% sure Trey Lance is playing this weekend. He took first team reps today. So
yeah, Jimmy G did not practice.
So, I mean, Trey Lance should make it entertaining. At the end of the day, he's raw. Very raw. Cardinals will take advantage of it. They're going 5-0.
Yeah, so when I'm looking at this matchup, the reason I'm not panicking at all, because I like the 49ers team. They got some really great talent. They got some good defensive pieces, and the weapons offensively are great. And honestly, I'd rather be facing Jimmy G this weekend than Trey Lance. But with that being said, I think if your first career start's going to be on the road in a hostile environment with Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt across from you, this is also, I believe, the number 2 or number 3 pass defense in the league. Oof. Yes, if they can run the ball well, and they can, the way the 49ers win this game is you keep the ball away from Kyler in the offense. But the offense is it's clicking so well for the Cardinals right now that they're going to put up points. And maybe the 49ers can keep pace, but I don't see a scenario in which they can't. Yeah, I'm going Cardinals here, probably by multiple possessions. I'm saying they're winning by 10 points at least.
Yeah, I haven't seen enough from the 49ers this year to tell me that they're anywhere close to what they were 2 years ago. Even though, like, I get it, they get injury bug a little bit again this year, but it's not nearly as bad as last year. And all I heard was how much of a difference all these players make coming back, and I didn't see it when the Packers played them. I mean, yeah, it was a close game, but we could get into some deep-seated discussions about why that game was closer than it actually was, and the Packers outplayed the hell out of the 49ers. So, and the Cardinals, you know, like you said, just arguably a better offense than the Packers if you want to go that route. So it's close enough to me to say that the Cardinals won't have much or too tough of a time at home. So I picked them to win by probably double digits as well.
Yeah, I would have to agree. All right. I love to go on a long rant, but I can't for this episode, so I'll do it next episode. Daniel Jones is not the problem in New York right now. I will elaborate on that further next week. But after 4 games and seeing some growth from him, and by the way, he has thrown 1 pick in 4 games. He's actually learned how to take care of the ball and make some smarter decisions. He's not the problem. I just want to say that. But he plays the Cowboys this weekend, and the Cowboys, I hate that I like them as much as I do this season because Pardews just going to give me a lot of shit about being a Dallas Cowboys fan, even though it's just not true. I just really like good football, and Dak Prescott is playing really good football, and Ezekiel Elliott is quick again. It's crazy how fast he looks compared to last year. I think the weight loss really helped. Tony Pollard is a great backup. Their wide receiver trio is a 3-headed monster, and Dan Quinn just made this defense look way better than I thought he would. He has significantly improved them. Diggs is a baller. Interception every single game. They have 7 turnovers total. I don't think this defense is fantastic. It's opportunistic, and that's really all you need when you have the potential offensive juggernaut that the Cowboys might have if they really learn how to unleash themselves. And I think Mike McCarthy made a smart decision in giving play-calling duties to Kellen Moore. Like, Kellen Moore knew the offense. He knew how Prescott worked. He was a backup to Dak Prescott. Like, genius to keep Moore with it. Moore has done a wonderful job. So I think at the end of the day, the Giants are going to be overmatched by Dallas.
Yeah, for me, the Giants, kind of like what you said, I don't think Daniel Jones is the problem either. It's just
weird for us to say on the show.
They're just a really bad football team, and you know me, I am a Daniel Jones hater, mostly because his rookie year, everybody was saying Daniel Jones was better than Kyler, and I've kind of just never let that go. But with that being said, yeah, there's just no chance that the Giants team is just, they're awful. They're really, really bad. And like you said, that defense, it's not a great defense, but they're extremely opportunistic, and they're a great playmaking defense right now. And with how well their offense is clicking, and Zeke seemingly has new life, yeah, I don't see how the Giants. There's no scenario that I can make up in my head where I can see the Giants winning. So yeah, Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm glad Dan Quinn is not a head coach, and because I always thought he'd be more successful as a coordinator than a head coach. I know he had successful years in Atlanta, but overall, I think he's in the right position, and the Cowboys just seem to be hitting their stride. The Giants haven't found a stride since Eli left.
I'm gonna say it's been since the Giants-Packers playoff wildcard game. They haven't been good since then.
Yeah, ever since that game, they've been miserable.
Which has been ever since the Odell Beckham boat picture from Florida.
Yep. And letting the Randall Cobb Hail Mary at halftime happen.
Yep.
And taking selfies in their T-shirts and shorts in the frozen tundra before getting their butts kicked in the frozen tundra. So, with that being said, Cowboys win this game.
Cool. So, there's a lot to say about Bills-Chiefs here, too. I think we said a lot about the Bills. Chiefs, I'm going to make it bullet point here. Their defense isn't good. They need to get better. I won't freak out about it till December, because we'll see what happens when you need to play defense in December football. Right now, they're still playing fall football. This is a shootout that I feel like the the Chiefs should win. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Bills are hitting their stride defensively. They're going to take advantage of the Chiefs' offense not being like indestructible. That you can take advantage of them, as we've seen the last few weeks. And the Bills' defense, the Bills' offense will crush this Chiefs' defense. Bills are going to go into Arrowhead Stadium and do the upset on Sunday Night Football. What about you, Sean?
This was actually my upset pick as well. I picked the Bills over the Chiefs, which I don't even know at this point if you can call it an upset.
I wouldn't.
Just how the Bills are playing football. And it is only because the Bills' offense is greatly improved. The Chiefs' defense is not from last year. So the only team that got better, in my opinion, from last year is the Bills, and they were already a pretty good matchup last year. The Bills' offense can now keep up with the Chiefs to a certain extent. The Chiefs' defense cannot keep up with the Bills' defense, so I'll take the Bills as well.
Yeah, I'm also going Bills here. That Chiefs defense is disgustingly bad, and I still can't get over the fact that they keep trying to play Chris Jones, a defensive tackle, out of position as an edge rusher. It makes absolutely zero sense. If you're not even going to use your personnel correctly, I don't know how you expect your defense to keep up with some of the offenses that they're having to play in the AFC. I think the Ravens laid the groundwork on how to beat this Chiefs football team this year. And yes, their offense is incredible, but you can only put up 40 points so many goddamn times. And that's what the Chiefs offense is seemingly going to have to do to beat the high-powered offenses in the AFC. So, yeah, I'm going to have to go Bills, especially just with the way they're playing right now. Like you said, Sean, their defense is vastly improved this year. And I don't know, that just look at the point differential for the Bills alone. I believe they're like plus 90 right now.
It's insane.
It's absolutely insane. And now it's going to get a little bit closer this coming week. Or, well, I guess it won't because the Bills are going to win. But, I mean, yeah, I can't. It's not that I don't believe the Chiefs can win this football game. It's just they've shown the inconsistency this year through the first month that I can't really buy them to win every single game like I did last year or the year prior. So, yeah, Bills.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. So, last game, saved the best for last because the Ravens are playing. Haha. Not really. They played Monday night against the Colts. I mean, honestly, I don't have a ton to say on this matchup. And I feel like I've said that 5 matchups in a row. My bad. I need to think of something else to say. But it's mostly because the Colts are not the team I thought they would be. They beat the Dolphins, cool, but despite the struggles that I see with Baltimore, I think Lamar has really found his stride in carrying the team. And unless Lamar gets hurt, I don't see a situation where Baltimore just doesn't continue their stride. They clamped down defensively last week against the Broncos. They pulled out a classic game that I would see from Joe Flacco, where Joe Flacco would throw for 300 plus yards, 2 TDs, and the defense would do the rest. That's what it looked like. And that's Ravens football that I'm used to. Not the whole running thing that's happened the last couple of years. So I just don't see a situation where the Colts are able to contain Lamar both passing and running. They're gonna have to pick their poison, and with the way Lamar's playing, I don't think it works out either way for them. So I gotta go with Baltimore here.
Yeah, I'm also going Baltimore. What the Colts have put on the field this year is, like you kind of said, I don't think anybody expected the Colts to be this bad. I think they need to get on the phone and hit up Phillip Rivers if they want to get back into this thing, because Carson Wentz is not it. And I think we all kind of expected him to maybe return to form a bit since he got reunited with Frank Reich, but we just haven't seen it yet, and I don't expect to see it. I don't think Carson Wentz is the same player anymore. So with that being said, yeah, I think with the way Lamar Jackson's playing right now, in addition to how good the defense always is in Baltimore, I can't make up a scenario in my head either where I can see the Colts winning this one because they just can't seem to put it together right now.
I would like to say that I don't think Carson Wentz has done terribly. He's thrown 6 touchdowns and 1 interception. He's not the reason they're losing, but he's not the reason for them winning either. I think Carson Wentz needs more time, especially with his injuries thing. I'm not for Carson Wentz, but I'm not against him yet either. I would like to see what this team looks like week 12 with him at QB. But at the moment, how can you pick him to beat Baltimore? That's how I feel. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, this game's not terribly tough one to pick. And I think a lot of it, too, is come down to the way the Ravens have won football games this year. It's some of these games, they got to come back. They got to they got to clutch up. They got the clutchest kicker in the history of football. And if anyone wants to argue with me, I can just chat. I'll just show you one video from just the other week. And the Colts just don't have that in them, it doesn't seem like. Carson Wentz doesn't seem to have it in him right now. So even if it is a close game, which I don't think it's going to be terribly close, but it could be if Carson Wentz balls out a little bit. I just think the Ravens find a way to win if it ends up being close, but I think it'll be at least a 2-score game.
Alrighty, yeah. So that's it for our picks this week. We didn't really disagree much, Pardue, so there's going to be no catching up or no... we disagreed on one game. Dang. So, anyway, so I guess I won't be catching up that much. So, you can follow the show at HC Analysts. You can follow Mr. Sean over here at Szechuan_Sean, or just look up Aaron Rodgers Doppelganger. Way easier to find him. It's
way easier.
Yeah, way easier that way. But his tag is at Szechuan_Sean. Sean, one last thing before we go. I'd like to thank you for being on the show. You were awesome, man. You've probably been one of our best guests we've had.
Thank you. I had so much fun, guys. Thanks for asking me.
Hey, so I'm going to ask you right now. You willing to come on before the Ravens-Packers game in December?
Yeah, of course I am.
Oh, heck yeah. But there might be more trash talk on that one, just so you know.
That's okay. That's okay. I love a good ribbing.
Alrighty, so like I said, you can follow the show at HC Analyst. You can follow him, Aaron Rodgers Doppelganger. You guys know us, HC_Sanders and HC_Pardue. That is it for us this week, and I hope your team wins, unless they're playing mine.